But while we're getting
Can you hear
there
me?
she is! Yes! Yes! Oh, is she frozen for anybody
Man,
else or just me? Oh, there she is. No, you're good now. You're good.
I'm good. Okay.
Yes. It's so good to see your face. Hopefully, hopefully we can get her signal situated. There we go. There you are. So make sure that you guys are doing all the good things. Mods, can you guys make sure that you guys are commenting the links to the Discord? Sissy, your signal is in and out. So while we get her signal situated, y'all, my kids told me the craziest dad joke. Um, have y'all kids ever told you a dad joke? That shit's funny. Okay. They said, Mom, dang, I'm going to have to call them in here now for them to say, I can't remember. Ah, we lost her. Hold on, y'all. I think she's getting her signal situated. But yeah, they told me a dad joke and now I can't remember, but I swear I was like, I have to tell people on TikTok the joke. But now I can't remember. It's been a long day, y'all. It really has. Um, let me see. Let me at her. There you are. Are you good, sis?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I have to update. I have to change my Wi-Fi. I'm good now.
Yay!
Okay.
There you are. So y'all make sure you guys are loving on my sister. This is somebody I know in real life. So I'm super honored to have you here, sis. Thank you for having the time and making the time to be on here. On Matriarchal Voices podcast, where we highlight Black, Brown, and Indigenous women's voices. So it's just I can't believe like my in real life family and my online family. It's so cool when they can like mesh. So
Yeah.
would you like to introduce yourself so everybody can know who you are, where you're from, just kind of a little bit of what you're about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, see, I can see the shirt. You know what I'm saying? The truth trafficker. Yeah, my name is Aisha Shaheed. I'm born and raised in Houston, Texas. Um, I am many things. I'm a community organizer and activist. I have my own community organization called All Neighborhoods Proudly United Foundation, which I started when George Floyd was unalived. And I'm also an educator, so I teach in the public school system. And I'm also a holistic practitioner as well, and a fitness coach. So I'm big on health and wellness and sharing that with the community. Um, I think our community wants to do so many things, and they want to revolt against so many things. But I think once we get our mind, our body, and our spirits right, and we get healthy, and we get out the toxic culture and move into the more of a holistic culture, I think we'll be ready to take on whatever we need to take on. So yeah.
Yes, thank you. Um, so how long ago did you start with your advocacy and what kind of like led you into that?
Um, I want to say, well, I started my organization, that was in 2020, but I think I've always, even as a young girl, been an advocate for like the underdog or people being done wrongly. I grew up in a neighborhood that was had mostly Caucasian people. It might have been a couple of African American families on the street, and so I have been in many fights. I have broke up. I have stood up for people who have thought, being bullied by certain people too as well. So I've always been an advocate for the underdog, but especially for our people too as well. My father, Muslim D Shahid, he raised 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls, and one thing that he always educated us on was like who we are and what we stand for and who we are. Even though we live in this kind of the community and neighborhood, this is what it is and this is what it isn't. And so I think I've always had a knowing and knowledge to like stand up for what's right and be righteous. Yeah.
That makes sense. And what is your main focus for the initiative and the organization that you started in 2020?
So with all neighbors powerfully united. So I didn't even know I was even going to do this. It was like you so many things are going on TV. You see a lot of people being shot and killed on TV by video camera. Sandra Bland. She went to Prairie View. I went to Prairie View A&M. So that story even touched me a lot. And there's so much was going on, and I felt like I was trying to avoid so many different things, but that George Floyd one, when I sat there and watched that, I really think I went into shock. Like I really was disturbed by that. It kept me up. I always say 4 days and 4 nights. You know what I'm saying? I was literally up. I couldn't sleep, and I really wanted to do something about it. And so what that was go into these communities, these underrepresented communities, Black and brown communities, and renew, restore, and rebuild our community from the inside out. And building the morale of our communities as well. So many of our communities, you do see a lot of, what people want to call black on black crime. You'll see it in, the brown neighborhoods, whatever the case is, but it's been so many conditionings that's taken place, and they don't know any better. So my goal is to go in and support these communities, not only with tangible resources, but with education, with the yoga, with the breath work, how to manage your emotions so you won't do something crazy. Beautifying your community. Y'all claim the hood, but you don't want to clean up the hood, and then you get mad when somebody else come in there and clean it and take over it. So who's really the problem?
Hmm.
Because if you loved your community, you would clean up your community, you would take care of it, you wouldn't let people dump in your community, you wouldn't have people from the outside coming in, clean up your community, telling someone, why are you in my neighborhood? If you would have did it yourself, you wouldn't have none of these issues. You see what I'm saying? So when people see you treat your neighborhood like crap, how you think they're gonna treat you?
Hmm.
But also, when you're so worried about stuff that don't matter, you're sad, the block you stay on, and a bunch of irrelevant shit. That's how you. Oh, excuse me. I don't know if I can cuss on TikTok.
You can. You
They'll block you for anything. I don't know. And so this is my first time on TikTok live, so I don't know the
can.
stipulations and rules. So yeah.
You're good, sis.
But yeah. So when they know better, they'll do better. And if I continue to show up in these communities and they continue to see me and my people, spreading this information in this light, you know, maybe they'll bite on something.
Mm.
So yeah.
That's important. That's powerful. Um, what strategies do you use when you're out there in the neighborhoods or just with the people, with the public, to get them to kind of like see what you're talking about and like realize that, hey, we have to do this for ourselves. What are some of the things that you use or the different strategies that you might implement?
Um, you know, First of all, always coming out in numbers. If you can let people see you, they want to see people who look like them in the community, but also at the same time, due to conditioning, it can be intimidating. So making sure that you're always coming into whatever community you're coming in, you're friendly. you're nice, to the people in the community, your demeanor is welcoming, you're not coming in, all black with the strap, because that can be intimidating to certain people. They already been, again, conditioned or whatever like that. So just making sure you're coming in um, positively. And then also some of the things we do to get to know the community, like community cleanups. We do a community cleanup, and people come outside and they see you and they want to ask, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all doing this? And I'd be like, hey, you can come out and help too. We'll be out here next month. You can come out here and help too, and just get to know, let people get to know what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So they know that it's positive. We also want to incorporate them. We do back to school drives. We do toy drives. We may go in and come in with different resources, just letting them know, hey, you have people that think about you and care about you. You may not can always make it to the food bank. The food bank may not always come to your community. You may not be able to make it to Georgia or Brown, different places where they're giving out certain things. So, and then the repetition too as well. Um, I've always been one to believe that if we continue to show up and let people see you and know who you are, they begin to gain your trust. Because you go into our communities, Gina, and be honest, you'll see flyers of this person to vote for them. They didn't canvas all over the community. And not one time have they ever stepped foot in your community to do a damn thing. They ain't give no turkey. Even if it's just, they ain't kiss no babies. They ain't shake nobody's hand. You're not even coming up. At least give me a recognition. You can't even do that, but for some reason, you want me to vote for you because you throw up a picture, or because you say, if you're brown, if you're black, you don't vote for me, you're the problem, or dumb stuff like that. And so
Yep.
that's what we do.
So, my next question is a little bit more geared toward like your holistic side. We'll be bouncing back and forth, but I know for you, like you're like the water doula, and that is super important to you. How did you get into that, and what does that mean for you?
A lot of this work is, it's definitely spirit led. If I would have said, 20 years ago when I was 15, I wouldn't think I would be doing this. I had a whole different mindset and game plan. But this is more of my divine purpose. And I know that, I am a spiritual healer. I'm here to help people and support them on their healing journey. Um, and so again, I was an athlete. I ran track, played basketball, played volleyball. I went to college at Prairie View A&M University. I walked on playing, running track, and then that was kind of my mindset. Like, I'm gonna be a physical education teacher. I'm gonna be a track coach. That was my thing. But Spirit and Essence had different plans for me. And I can still do those things, but with the information I have now. I didn't have a lot of information and the tools and the knowledge that I have now that was not only taught to me, that was, downloaded to me by spirit. And so, from there, I do holistic services. Not only am I a yoga instructor, do meditation, I also do, like you said, water therapy. I actually learned that when I lived in Mexico. I moved from Houston. I sold all my stuff, moved to Mexico, and that, was something that I was divinely aligned with as well. I'm a Cancer moon, Scorpio rising, so I got a lot of water. Okay, so, and we know the water is there's a lot with emotions and memory, and so I think a lot of people, in today's time, we're dealing with a lot of PTSD, what I'm saying? I call it post traumatic, for our people, slavery, depression, and just dealing with a lot of trauma, even, within their own selves, their family, and a lot of times it's their own parents, and so with the water therapy, it really it's like a spiritual baptism. It allows people to release and let go of the things that they've been holding on to. We
Mm.
know water cleanses, water heals. We know water is spirit. Um, we know we're made up of 70% water. And
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Water is very healing. So, like in a lot of indigenous cultures, um, water was used for all types of therapy, all types of healing ceremonies. And they always say, especially if you have water placements, like you said, or you're a water sign in general, um, you need to be by the water. It's like when you're dry, you have to be able
Oh my
to quench
goodness.
yourself. So it made so much sense. Me being a desert girly, being from El Paso, when I moved to Houston, it was the first time in my life I had ever been around a body of water. Granted, it's not the most clearest water, but for me, just being from somebody who grew up with cactuses and dust storms, like
Right.
I was I never wanted to leave. Like I would make, from Pasadena to Galveston trips almost every other night. At night I'd go and just sit by the water and it was just something so healing. So that is so true. So so true.
Yeah.
Um so my next question is more towards like mentorship and personal sustainability. Who are the Black women leaders and ancestors or historical figures who have most influenced your approach and your activism?
Ooh, I do have many, but I can't say many. But one spirit that I definitely, always think about and I always hear in my head is Harriet Tubman.
Mm,
It's like I could have freed 1,000 more of y'all if y'all only knew that y'all was, free. You're not a slave. A lot of people, want to stay in a particular place. They make excuses, and I'm like, come on, I want to pull you up. I want to bring you with me, you
mm,
know, you know. I've gotten land, even some people in my family like, hey, I have this space for us, and everybody may not see, the bigger picture, until they see the bigger picture, but who knows without where I'll be by then, or anybody else who's doing the same thing. And so, I always think about Harriet Tubman and just the mission that she was on. Mine's look a little bit different, but being able to bring the people, out of the darkness into the light, having them release the things that no longer serve them, bringing them to from the toxic culture to the more holistic culture. So I feel like when that happens, it's a different level of consciousness, of understanding, and people can get back on the right path, like on their destiny. I think a lot of people are not on the right path, worry about all the wrong things, holding on to things that no longer serve us. I'm like, why are you holding, I've been there, so I'm not judging, but people hold on to things for 20 and 30 and 40 years that, they could have let go, and they don't know that that one thing is the reason why they keep repeating the same cycles over and over again in different situations, or why they're having physical um diseases in their body, different things like
mm,
that. And so
mm. That's so important. I feel like as marginalized communities, we've lived under such like oppression for so long that a lot of us stay like stuck in that mindset, and we tend to forget that that's we're not what our oppressors say that we are. We have to be able to come up out of that, and just like the times and the time that I'm around you, um and the amazing beautiful Black women that you're associated with, like you guys inspire me to step my game up. You guys are just amazing and just so naturally effortlessly that way. Like when they say that Black women are truly the healers, like you guys are, and just it just radiates off of you guys. Like the healing energy that you guys have is astounding, like even the love that you guys have shown me, like you've always made me feel welcomed, and like family, you know, and
Yes.
little do you guys know that that heals people's souls, that heals people's spirits. And the world needs more of that, you know,
Yeah.
especially in
And
our communities.
yeah, because we've been through so much, as indigenous, women, we've been through so much, and it's so crazy because, in my experience dealing with a lot of other women, Caucasian women, you know, they wish they was as strong as us, but they acknowledge it, and maybe in a condescending way, but like for example, um, it was some years ago, but I think I was going to my insurance company, and I was going to handle something or ask something, and I guess you could tell like what I came for was serious. She was trying to offer me like water or snacks. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. She's like, oh, you're strong. Like that. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? And why are you, what is strong I do with me not wanting your snacks? Like, you know what I'm saying? And, I know that, and we have to do a lot of healing. That's why you hear a lot about like hoodoo and voodoo and things that people claim as witchcraft and negativity. No, that was for healing purposes.
Hmm. It was.
You know, it wasn't to kill nobody or shun nobody. Now, it was for healing and protection. So just like in, Azteca and Mayan community, they have their own rituals and things they do for healing and protection, and so I'm so happy too to be in a place to be around women, um, like you said, who will love on me, and I saw a lot of that when I was in Mexico. That's why I say like people have been colonized and people see stuff on TV and it's not the same thing. Like these women Like these women loved on me out there, These women, like one woman was like, I saw you in my dream. I seen you before, like loving on me, kissing on me, want to feed me. You know what I'm saying? Calling me queen and different things like that. And I'm just like, now they're not gonna. They're not gonna do this in Houston because it's different, But like this is what it's like when you're vibrating on a high frequency, because low vibrational shit ain't gonna do that. They don't understand sisterhood and
I
different
just
things like
got
that.
chill.
So it's like when you're vibrating on a higher frequency and when you're in a higher consciousness, all the other shit don't even exist.
Yeah.
Color don't matter, nothing, because all we see is spirit. So that really opened my eyes up too, when I was living out there in Mexico too, and with the indigenous women of Mexico, and just how they supported me and loved on me, and even the different ceremonies. I made some amazing friends out there that, look, I can go out there today and I got somewhere to stay, and I got food, so
Thanks. That part. Yes. And I think, like when me and you first met, like it instantly clicked with us. Because when you're just like you said, vibrating on a certain level, you click with those vibrations. People are on the same wavelength as you. And that's how it was. Like it was just so effortless. And for me, those are the type of women I want to be around. I want to be around girls. I want to be around women that we can bounce ideas off of. We can talk to each other. We can say, hey sis, you fucked up right here, or hey, you know what, I'm proud of you. This is keep going, keep doing this. And being around you in real life, that's how it is. Like you guys have a true sisterhood. I'm in the true sisterhood. Even some of the women in my community that I've had the honor, like some of the brown beret sisters that I have, like it's just there. You can't fake it. It's just there. And
right.
that's how you know that you're in line with spirit. You're in line with the ancestors. That's how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw you, I was like, I'm supposed to be knowing her. I'm supposed to be with whatever she got going on. I'm supposed to be connected to her because Yeah,
Yes,
it was kindred, you know what I'm saying? So whatever we do in the future, like it was meant to be, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was
that
like
part.
when you know.
Yes, that part. That part. So my next question is, as someone who is deeply involved in activism, how do you initially use your entrepreneurial skills um, and your platforms to drive systematic change and economic justice for Black and Brown communities, but mainly Black communities?
So man, I haven't been outside for real. I mean, I'm always outside, but like as far as some things that I used to do that I really want to get back to doing is that, I would combine a community, well, a few community initiatives, right? So for example, I think it was 2021, I did a community clip in an area called Sunnyside. That's the southeast side of Houston. And we did a community cleanup on this particular street, but we had connected with a black owned beauty supply store. And when we cleaned up the whole street, maybe like 5 blocks one way, 5 blocks the other way, around the area, um, those same people who came and volunteered, but also people who came by, we spent money and supported that black owned business by
Mm,
buying the products. A lot of products in there were from local black owned businesses. And I mean, it was a party, and it felt good to support not only the owner of that business, but the other people whose items were in that shop, as well. And so we try to do that every time, just connect the community together in that way. So
mm,
we've even there's a strip on OST. It's a shopping strip. I don't know if the strip is black owned, but the majority of those businesses are black owned, like all of them pretty much. And it's like it might be like 12 businesses. There's some on the other side of the street, and what we did was like a Black Friday type of thing, and pretty much we had people come to where we were and support these businesses, as well as we had a couple of vendors out there, and just support black owned businesses, and why it's important to you know build our economy that way. It's so many, and also with that too, and we want to make sure that the people that we are giving our money to, that they're doing something for the community, because yeah, we're helping their business, but also what are you giving back?
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's why it's so important that when you have people in your community, in these corner stores, in these gas stations, and they don't want to hire you, and they want you to hurry up and buy, okay, I got a problem with you, because what are you doing for my community? You already selling my community some bullshit.
Yep.
I haven't been to this gas station in a while, this Shell, but I've been there 3 times, and then it had expired stuff in there.
Mm,
And I take the whole container and I say, this is expired. You need to throw this shit away. And I said, the next time that I come in here and I find something expired, I'm going to call the people on you and let them come inspect your stuff, because that means you're not restocking. You're being lazy and you don't care. And most of the people that come into these stores are little kids when they get out of school.
yep. Yep.
And they don't know no better. They're just grabbing this stuff because they want it, they're hungry or whatever. They're not really looking at the things. And so that's very important, to me.
Absolutely. And like especially in Houston, I needed somebody else from Houston to speak on it. I know it's not all perfect, but the communities in Houston, the Black and Brown communities in Houston, as much as social media would like to portray our communities as against each other, we're not in Houston. Like there's like we're family. Like we're at the carne asadas together. We're at the quinceañeras together. We're at the barbecues together. We literally live and breathe next to each other. So like when I first had came on this app, it was very strange, like the dynamics between our communities, and I
Yes.
was like, I was a little like set back because I was like, wait, this not happening in real life. At least not in my real life. Like I don't know what's going on right now. Um, and I think I truly believe it's the algorithm that way. It's how this app is set up for whatever reason, but um, it
Yeah,
wasn't like
and then anybody can come on here and say all different kind of shit. Some people are being paid to be antagonists and give this storyline that you know Mexicans don't like each other, and these people don't like each other, and that shit's bullshit. Like now, you do have some people who are colonized who do act like that. I'm not saying that certain people don't act like that because they do, but that's just not how everybody is acting. You know what I'm saying? Like I just told you, I just went to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't treat me like that. You know what I'm saying? Now you have some people who have been to the States and have coming back, and so they have a view on certain things. And then also while you're there, depending on how long you're there, you can easily get indoctrinated with some shit that you didn't know before because that's not what they're doing over there in your country, so different things like that. But for the most part, you know,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for speaking on it because I was like, I know I'm not the only one who knows this shit. Like,
I got some friends that I can go right now into, Mexico right now and find me a real good spot to eat. We gonna hang out and only the people that's been calling us because we live in the same communities.
mhm.
And it's unfortunate that history books and history and certain things have tried to divide us, but if you look back in history, indigenous Africans and indigenous, you know, Mexicans, we've been together. And when I went to Mexico, is when I learned a lot of that history, and I was like, why do I feel so connected to this? And why we've been rocking? It's just been
Yep.
the colonizations, you know what I'm saying? And then being whitewashed in the stories. You have to go back. We have a thing called Sankofa, which means go back and get it. Go back and get the information or the knowledge that your ancestors had. And so, you know, I didn't think that I would be doing so much research, when I went, to Mexico. So like the second president of Mexico, Vicente Guerrero, was half African. Like that's how deep the shit is.
Yep.
And when I was out there and I was giving this information to the people of Mexico, they were kind of confused, but then at the same time, there was like, this is why I feel so connected to African people or African drumming and dancing because they do a lot of that out there. I say we've been connected. It's just the colonization and the indoctrination, and I wish that people wouldn't just believe anything that they see on TikTok or on TV or on social media because a lot of that shit is not true. And you don't know until you know and you do your research and you get your knowledge. Google ain't gonna always help you. You need to go do some real research, talk to some real historians, lecturers. Go to a real library. And get information. So
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Um, Historically, right, access to capital and deep resources have been a major barrier. What strategies have you secured the resources needed to like scale our neighborhoods or even like you said, black owned businesses?
say
Um,
that again. Tell me your question again. I'm sorry.
yes, ma'am. It says, ooh, I lost it. Ugh, sorry. Historically, access to capital and deep resources has been a major barrier. What strategies have you used to secure resources for the community or for like black owned businesses that you've used?
Um, well, one, as a nonprofit, I'm able to get different, resources, tangible resources. Um, I'm working on getting some funding too as well. But with that, that's how I want to, support my community. So that's one thing. I work with other people that's in my organization that go out and teach financial literacy too as well. So we might have a community event, and then we might say, financial literacy, and anybody who comes gets, a free food box and other resources, but we want to teach because a lot of people don't know. They say that, African Americans, our money leaves our hands the fastest, and whatever shit they be saying, But people need to learn about these things so they can secure their money and their resources. Teaching about health insurance and, not health, but life insurance, and really teaching our people how to, do for themselves, So even I have some friends, I actually have an event coming up where I'm going to be speaking to some young people about entrepreneurship. And, I've done it in the schools, underrepresented schools. They say, hey, you can do XYZ, you can be this, you can be that. Because you're not going to know because nobody's telling you. The school is not telling you. They want you to be workers and
Mm.
slaves,
Yep.
So it's really good, and also one thing I also want to do is create community centers. I love going to the Shape Community Centers in Third Ward. They have 2 locations, but they give, so many resources. So my goal is for the communities that don't have these community centers that really want to, pour in their community. That's something that I really want to do once I get the funding too as well.
Mm. That's so important. I see all the work that you guys do in the community, and it's so inspiring, so inspiring. So thank you for everything that you do, sis. You had mentioned earlier that you were an educator.
Yeah.
So in your experience as an educator, how do you integrate lived experiences and an understanding of structural iniquities into your like education work?
Oh man, I do it all the time. That's my favorite thing to do.
I know
Um,
this story, but I want them to hear it.
that's my favorite thing to do. And, just being real, because I understand the public school system. I understand what they're trying to do with our kids, our students. And, I do my very best. Yeah, I'm going to teach you this because this is what you have to learn. But I always, every day, I'm teaching a life lesson. People with, why do I need this? You need this because, when you get older, you want to be able to be a well-rounded individual and know some things, but you don't have to, it doesn't have to be your end all be all. You don't want to work at McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? Like, put in some work, show you what's your work ethic like, and so but even in, I teach in Alding ISD. So in Alding ISD, it's predominantly, Chicano, students, or a lot of students who have came from out of the country into the States, and so even with them, I asked them, do y'all know who, different people are, do you know what does Chicano mean? People, some of them couldn't even tell me, maybe like one or two, and so maybe I might put on different movies and things that represent them. So I might put on like Stand and Deliver or Freedom Riders and things like that. And I just, and even though those movies are older, they're so locked in and intrigued. I believe they see themselves in these pictures, even though they're older. And so, I love just talking with everybody and, picking their brains too as well, and just seeing, you know, where they are. Even in elementary, one experience, I was teaching history, and well, no, it wasn't history. I think it was reading. I think it was a reading class, but they were learning about some history and about the westward expansion. And, one thing that we read, it said like the Europeans forced Native Americans out. And I was like, let me tell y'all something. When you see words like forced and removed or replaced, that means that they killed, they slaughtered, and I told third graders this.
Mm.
And one little boy said, and they killed our ancestors. They're like, they sure did, like they know, and I'm like, I'm just telling you this so you can know, but you have to learn this because this is the curriculum. But just know a lot of stuff that you're going to learn is not going to be true. So make sure you question everything. And they was like,
Mm.
okay. So whether they remember that or not, they might, but they understood that, because now what you're seeing from when I was in school, they're changing certain verbiages and changing certain words. And that's not the truth. Because what you mean forced out, how?
Yep. Yep. And you're right. They use these really slick words, that very vague words. And to your average child, they're like, "Oh, okay, they're just reading it," but they're not understanding the concept behind those words,
Right.
and um it's super important that they do. Like, well, me and you already know this, but like I always encourage people, learning has to start at home. You got to teach the babies at home. Like, my kids know about history from my house, from our home. They know our history, brown, black, and indigenous history, the real history, they learn from home. So I
Yeah.
appreciate teachers like you, sis, like, because it's so easy to just, like, follow the mundane and just go along with the script, and I'm just doing my job. But no, you go above and beyond, and you make sure that, no, these babies know who they are and they're secure in their identity. So I really, really love that. Thank you. Um, Somebody said, don't let white schools be the only source of knowledge for your kids. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because they're not really teaching these kids nothing. Like, I'll be honest, like that's why the kids don't want to do it. These kids are smart, they're advanced. They don't. This shit is, it's either boring or dumb or not interesting, or it's too easy. One or the other. Like, they don't want to know this. They want to know about real life experiences. Like, not because they want to be grown, but because they don't know nothing, and they probably not learning that at home from their parents. They want to know about real stuff, and have real conversations. I was able to, when I used to be a sub, I was able to a sub for a in school suspension classroom,
Mm.
and I was able to get all those kids to talk to me, to be quiet, to talk, to listen. And them kids were like, "Are you gonna be here tomorrow? Because I want to come here tomorrow." I'm just like, they opened up and they're like, "Hey, like, the teachers don't listen. They talk to us crazy.
Mm.
They always want to suspend you and put you in detention. They always doing that, always doing that." And they're not lying, because I see it. And I don't like the way they talk to the kids either, if I can be honest.
Mm.
I'm not saying that you can't say what you gotta, get them to do what they have to do, but some of these teachers talk really bad to these kids, and they're always yelling and always screaming. So why would these kids listen to you?
Mm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, and like the sister said, at home, we always, if me and my siblings or the siblings got into it, our father was making us sit down for a 2 hour lecture.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, and he'll go ramble off about some other stuff, and then he'll come back to the whole point of what we should have been doing. But he always made sure that, like I said, we knew who we were. You know, um,
Your dad is amazing, by the way.
and that, thank you, and that we stayed on top of our game. And never let nobody tell you, who you are, who you ain't. I remember I was in fifth grade, raising my hand like this with a black fist. Why you raising your hand like that? Because I can. What's the matter? My
Period.
hand is raised. Like, Well, you don't want other kids to be. If another kid wants to raise their hand like that too, then that's their business. But their hand is raised. What you got against what I'm doing? Like I've always been my own person because my father and my parents, they taught me that.
Mm.
So even in middle school, you don't like black people? What? Like, but one thing I've never been like, I don't, I've never, been, I don't dislike anybody. You know what I'm saying? I do dislike somebody, but not because of the color of their skin, but your character is what I dislike, you
Mm.
know, your character and your behavior. But I've never been like, oh, I don't like this person, because, you know, they're African American, or because they're from a different country, or because they're Mexican or Chicago. Because I've never been that. I've never been that way. But I've been treated that
Mm.
way, and I can have a reason to be that way.
Mm.
But when you on a higher consciousness, like I said before, and higher frequency, like that's like water under a bridge. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate that here on this realm too, we dealing with so much, racism and all this other back and forth, and who's more inferior to who, like, cause that shit don't even matter. Like, we all suffering right now. We all
Mm.
going through it. We all experiencing the bullshit, from from
I know
from
that's
from
right.
everywhere, wherever,
I know that's
Trump,
right.
everything. We all paying high gas prices. We all, eating the bullshit food. We all dealing with the same stuff. Like, why you acting like,
Yeah.
So
So, sis, this is usually around the time that I bring up one person from the audience just to ask you a question. I'm glad she's here because this is we call each other twin. I think she was interested in your Reiki. So I brought her up to see if she would like you to ask you a question.
okay.
Um, there she is.
Hi. Hi, twin. How are you?
Good.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, I was listening. I came in here kind of late, but I heard that you do Reiki. Where are you located? Well, you don't have to give specific details. This is online. People crazy, girl.
Yeah, so I am a comedic Reiki practitioner, and I'm also a water doula. I do aquatic massage therapy, and with that therapy, I'm also doing Reiki. It's like a spiritual baptism in the water. Again, we know that water holds memory, and water is healing too as well. And so through that session, I wish I could show y'all something um, of that, but you can probably see it on my page if you go to my page. But what that consists of is me pretty much assisting you and guiding you in the water. Think of it as like yoga in the water. I'm kind of moving you and moving you around. And as I did my research on this, what I came up with was, it's almost like you're a sperm or you're an egg and you're going back into the womb. The womb is the primordial waters. We know
Right.
we're born in water too. So it's like going back into the womb. Um, and even being able to remember, yourself as a child, remember, what your mother went through, or your grandmother went through, and also being able to, really tap in and feel and release those deep-seated emotions that you may be carrying on and holding on to. Everybody who comes out of those water sessions, baby, they be brand new. They gonna cry
Right.
and they gonna bawl, but they be like, whatever that little hump is that's stopping them from breaking through that door, or maybe they're having a brain fart because they're an author or something, whatever's stopping them from just getting over that hump, it does it every time. It does it every time. And it's a great time to be intimate, because a lot of people haven't been like nurtured properly, or maybe they've been like touch deprived. So the water therapy really, it's really nurturing. It's like mommy water. It's just like mama just giving you a big hug and holding you. And so I also incorporate, like tuning forks and others spiritual things like rapé if my client needs that, maybe they're anxious and things like that. And so I do incorporate other medicines and herbs too as well.
I love that. And I do have another question, but I wanted to, it's so interesting because I'm someone, I'm very spiritual and I believe in like alignment and stuff like this. And here I was coming in just to check on my twin, my sis. And I find you here. And I've been going through a lot personally. I've recently got a PTSD diagnosis that I've been dealing with, and using like herbs and exercise as ways to help me through it as well. But my question is, what do you wish more people understood what Reiki can and cannot do? Like, I feel like there's some misconceptions as to what it can do and what
Reiki
it
is not
can do.
Reiki is not gonna take away all your problems. I
Right.
don't care. You can go to every day, every week. It's not gonna. It's meant to shift some energy around, and when the energy is shifted, because what happens is too, people get a Reiki session and they feel good, and then they stop doing the work,
Right.
and there's work to do, and I'm just assisting you on your journey, but you have to continue to do the work. I like we're gonna have a consultation. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna shift the energy around. You're gonna feel good, but this is your homework. This is why you have this energy, and this is what you have to work on. Because if you don't work on it, it's gonna come back.
Right. Right. It's not a one-stop shop.
It's not a one-stop shop. It's like yoga. Yeah, you might come to my class for yoga, and yeah, you feel good. Oh, my back was hurting. Now my back feel. Why are you biting me? He's doing yoga, and oh, my back feels good. And I had a pain in my back, but then the pain came. Then you stop coming, and then I hear a month later talking about something. The pain is back now. It's worse. You didn't keep doing the work.
Yeah.
People be looking for temporary. Y'all be looking for people be looking for instant gratification, like right now. Get this fixed, and it's not like that. Because what you experience didn't take you, 30 an hour to deal with, that you're holding on to. You've been holding that for years.
Yeah.
So it's like it's gonna take you more work for you to release it.
I totally agree. Yeah, I really didn't have another question. Well, how do you
Ask
know?
away, ask away.
Oh, okay. Gina, let me know. I don't want to take over.
No, you're good.
But no, how do you know when the energy has landed? Like, how do you know when a session is over with? Are you just watching the clock, or is it a feeling that you have? Because Reiki is actually something that I've considered like looking into as far as me doing it as well, because I feel like I do a version of that on my own sometimes. Like, I have my crystals and I'll sit and I'll get quiet and I'll, go into myself and just imagine the crystal, soaking into my skin and doing its thing. So yeah, I was just wondering, like, if it's a feeling that you have that's the time is done, or if you're just watching the clock.
It's a feeling that I have, and it's a energy and feeling that I see over my client and patient.
Okay.
And so people may use different tools to know if maybe their chakras are balanced, or or if their chakras are spinning in the right direction. People use pendulums. I use a bell. I also use crystals and stone. I use sound too as well. So like maybe before our session, the way I will check your chakras or your energy centers is with a pendulum or a bell, and it's gonna spin a certain direction for me, and I'm gonna know, okay, this one's spinning in the wrong direction. And then when I do the bell sounds a little dense, which means this chakra is blocked. And then when I do the work, and then I'm gonna go back over you the same way with that pendulum or with that bell. And because there's been times where my own clients have heard it, like, I said, you heard that? They're like, yeah, like, what's that? My heart chakra is closed, and they start crying, and I'm just
Wow.
like,
That's beautiful. That's a
tap
release.
in, and so now when they release that, I can see And then also I can, because I'm an empath, so I can feel the energy, I might start crying, and all different kind of stuff. And so when I'm better and I see them calm down, I'm like, okay, like that energy has passed on.
I get it. I was laughing at Saji's comment. Why is she that way?
She said, I need to unclog my throat.
Saji, well, first off, I don't think that, well, it might be. You can be a little shy, but I guess because I'm thinking you don't need to unplug your throat chakra because, Saji has no problem speaking her mind. But I get what she's saying, though, but you nasty.
Y'all's comments throw me up.
Same.
Let me bring her up. That way she
But
can.
if your throat chakra is blocked, you know what I'm saying? Come holler at me. We can open it up.
I'm gonna get you a candle, Saj.
It's because I meant it. I meant it, but then I was like, that sounds so bad.
Too funny.
It just, like even when you think about a sink, right? Like sometimes it works, sometimes it backs up. Like just because it's clear to go through sometimes, other times, mine is getting blocked. So don't judge me, DRC.
I know. Yeah, I was just teasing you. That was so funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, like, yeah, that's a real thing, and there's stuff that you can do to unblock your throat chakra, whether if you have a hard time, expressing yourself or speaking your truth, or, being like I said what I said, if you or even if it's speaking in love, maybe you don't speak or respond the best way, like that's a blocked throat chakra. Not saying that some people don't deserve certain words, but even with that, you have to be able to express yourself in a magnitude to where you can get that out, because a lot of times, baby, when that people don't open up the throat chakra, that causes illnesses.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I was going to ask you because I have been reading this book about how they were talking about how like chakra imbalances can manifest as physical ailments in the body. For example, a lot of people who need to speak up get sore throats, or people who are dealing with a lot of pain. Like I dealt with a lot of chest pain when I was, because I feel like my heart chakra, I was really going through something. It needed healing. And asthma can be tied to that as well. Not speaking from the heart and chest issues.
Chest pains,
I've just been fascinated by how that can happen in the body. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, because we're holding on to it. You're not releasing it. Somebody's mad about what somebody did 5, 10, 6 years ago, 20 years ago, and you've been holding on to that for so long, and you wonder why, you got so many health issues. We have to, release and let go of the things that no longer serve us. They had a moment in time, that was an experience, and we're supposed to learn from that experience instead of hold on to it as if it was truth or reality. So for example, if you had a heartbreak and you were with somebody, I don't know, 6 years, and somebody did you wrong, and they cheated on you, like, yeah, it hurt, yeah, it was fucked up, but doesn't mean I'm not worthy of love and being loved by anybody else, even though I love this person. I thought that was my person, so when you continue to operate like that, you're going to always find yourself in situations where somebody going to do you wrong because you haven't healed from that. You haven't let it go. Yeah. Until you heal, until you let that go, then you can align yourself with somebody who can be all the things you want them to be for you. So that's like the universe in the back end doing that work too, but also it's like, that's you. Like what you're giving yourself is what you're going to put out, too. So it is being mindful of that. What we store in the body creates a dis-ease. That's literally what a disease is. It's dis-ease in the body.
Mm.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
My God.
Wow.
I need to, well, I wish I was
Yeah,
having some
disease is
gummies right
literally
now.
dis-ease in the body. It's literally a dis-ease, and I hate to say it, but we do it to ourselves. Like, we literally do it to ourselves, and our body keeps score on a cellular level. So you might say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm good." You saying that to me, you saying it to Gina, but really internally you messed up, and on the cellular level, you're still having certain things, dealing with certain things, overstimulated, certain traumas, you're still dealing with that, or you still find that thing coming up.
Mm.
So that's the work that I'm talking about. So you can go see a shaman. You can go get a tarot card reading, and they gonna tell you. But what are you going to do to fix it so it won't happen again?
Mm.
You have to do the work. Everything is about doing the work. Everything in the community, in the spiritual, in the healing, is all about doing the work. Nothing's gonna fall out the sky for you. You have to do your part. And another thing is that with people like myself, healers, spiritual people, like, we get a lot of slack because people think we're supposed to be healing them, and they're like, I'm here to assist you in your healing and on your healing journey. I'm not here to do all the work for you. You trying to kill me because you can't even do it. You think I'm gonna come in here and do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of it's
And
inner
then,
work.
and then they get mad at you when you can't solve all their problems, or they bought a candle and the candle didn't work. Well, did you do the work? You lit it, but what else did you do after you lit the candle?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just set it and forget it, and then thinking the candle's gonna do its thing, and you didn't do your thing. And now you want your money back, and I'm not giving you no refunds.
No refunds. Wait, say that again. Say that again.
No,
Bitch,
no
what you mean I
refunds.
just finished healing you, but you just texted your ex-ho? What the hell? What is
Like, we just
what?
released that fool and you called him back? What's up?
That part. That part.
Mm-hmm. So it treats the cause, but not the symptoms. Like, yeah. Oh yeah, that's real. That's real.
I mean, even when you think about antibiotics, right? Like, you can't just do it one day, 2 days, and then let it go. You'll
Yeah.
get sicker because now the bacteria build immunity to the medicine. Now it knows how to fight it. Now you're fudged.
Exactly.
And I did want to say too, to what you were mentioning, and this is just me, like, as a very observant autistic person, and this isn't to victim blame, but I noticed that a lot of women who have, like, you see patterns in their relationships. Like, this same woman has had like 4 or 5 different boyfriends, and they all did the same kind of dirty shit to her. And it's like, and it's a very specific kind of shit to them. And it's like,
Right.
But then when you get down to it, it's like, okay, where, like you said, it's not just about treating their heartbreak, but it's also like, what is in you that is kind of or either attracting, allowing, or missing
And
that.
people have to see it. People don't see it sometimes, and we all been there. I've been there, like, but oh, I didn't know Aisha. I didn't know you was like that.
I'm blind.
It was like, I didn't know I was like this or I like that. So until somebody holds a mirror up to your face and be like, hey, this is what you have going on. So this is, and be like, so yeah, let's just do, man, just doing the work. Like today. So I'm a fitness coach here in Houston at a gym. And
Oh, you're 4 hours from me.
come holler at me, girl.
See, look.
The divine alignment. Come holler at me.
I will. I'm up near Killeen. Let's just say that.
Thank you too. And so I have a client, and she was like, I have some stomach issues, and I was like, you have IBS? That's irritable bowel syndrome. She was like, yeah. I said, what does she have going on? She's like, I have, I have low blood pressure, and I was like, okay, well, you have to start eating. And I was like, okay, gastroparesis, something like that. I'm like, oh, what's that? And she was telling me, what it is and the flare up she gets. And if she was, I'm asking her questions because I'm picking up on what's really the issue here. And then I said, oh, we kept working. I said, oh, you get acid reflux? She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we got done working out. I got to talking to her, and I was telling her, I said, baby, you come in here, you be looking tired, and I'm talking to her, whatever. And I was like, I told her what I did outside of the gym, and I was like, let me look into this for you so I can support you on a holistic level, because yes, partially this comes from food, but this comes from holding on to deep hurt and pain and not speaking up on things, different traumas, in her head kind of went down, but I didn't say it to make her feel bad. I said it so because I see her, and we can work through that with the healing, with the working out, with the healing, with me talking to her and with her doing the things that I need her to do. We can get through that, and she understood what I was putting down. So stuff like that,
Yeah.
Pookie to get in here. Pookie, you need to get some holistic help. No, he does. He does.
Dang.
That wasn't
First
a
of
dig.
all, I don't know what
Okay,
your antennas were this morning, Saji, but
That is so
drywall got
funny.
a hold of him this morning, and when I tell you, he was shot. He almost passed up on the blessing. He went into her live. She was doing readings, and he dropped the galaxy. Little did he know that's what she does when she's going to give a reading. It's either 15 to the green app or drop a galaxy. So he just dropped the galaxy just to be nice. And she's like, "Oh, let me bring you up, Pookie." He's like, "No, no, no, do it to someone." I said, "No, don't skip the blessing. She's the real deal." And she did his reading, and he's like, "There's no way that you know about these things." Like,
That's wild.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy.
I'm telling
dang.
you,
So poor Pookie's been on.
indigenous black women are just like, it's just something in us. The ancestors just gave us the gifts. Like, we're the original OG doctors. I promise you that.
That's true. And there's something to be said about, our magic and the healing powers that we did have. And I think that's one of the reasons why they tried to suppress us. We scared the hell out of them.
Oh yeah, because what the hell white girl gonna do to a curandera? Like, we just in your face, a little bit of tierrita to
Period.
okay, bitch.
Yes.
Listen, okay, like, don't play. We were just talking about this actually yesterday in Casa's live. I was like, what's your problem with witches? I was just joking with him. He's like, I don't got a problem with witches. I was like, cause like I know it's coming down from my family. I, in very subtle ways, my grandma would just kind of create this potion of different herbs just to, like, here's a little bit of tea. Man, I have never taken no diet, no like prescribed medication that ever like quickly healed me that fast. Like, and I never thought of it till I got older. I did want to ask a question to
Yes,
you,
yes.
holistic.
We will get through our questions, and then that way I can ask her my last question, because I've already kept her a little bit past the time I told her.
Ah,
But
mira. Wow. She's chatting it up till I have a question. Free, welcome in, Free. My question is, okay, and I feel like, I don't know how you feel. And what do you like to be, like, what's your name, or what do you want? Because I feel like I don't want to say AK Holistic Wellness.
Aisha. You call me Aisha.
Aisha? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Aisha, I don't know if you felt the same way, but I feel like the older that we get, our talent might be a little bit less on the raw form, but certain things you can kind of pick up more. Like, you're like, oh, I don't want this much, but it like just kind of happens. I've been dealing with, like, my whole life, I've had random illnesses, random diseases, like, it never really gets diagnosed. Nothing ever comes up on my blood or ultrasound, MRI, these scan. And it's like these crazy things. What I've recently found out is that, and Pookie's one of the peeps that this happens to me with, is that I'm picking up on other people. Like my chest will start hurting. I feel like I can't breathe, or my legs will hurt, or I will feel nauseous. So I'm like picking up their symptoms. I don't know how to refine that or how to protect myself, because can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
I got a phone call randomly. I don't know how to protect myself at times, especially when I'm like in big group settings, from feeling like, holy shit, I'm like feeling 1,000 symptoms.
Yeah. So that just means like you're probably an empath. And so you can pick up and feel like energy like myself. The first thing I would tell you is I always tell people and myself, observe, but don't absorb. When you go into a space and you don't want to absorb that energy, because people be in there because you'll go into a space and now you're feeling anxious and nervous, and that's not even your energy. That's somebody else. So it's really about getting your spiritual hygiene up and your spiritual protection up, and whatever that looks like for you. I have a little spray bottle. I think it's in my living room. It's like a little spray bottle, and I made like a tobacco spray. I spray that on me before I go outside. To repel any negative energy. And it purifies too as well. Florida water.
Is it assault if I spray somebody with Florida water? Is it considered?
Now, don't spray people, spray the area around
So funny. Yeah, spray the area. Then spray the area, and you bring in that good positive energy. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you can spray them on the slick, that's cool too. But
And the back of the neck, achoo! Let me get some of this shit on you.
Yeah, people, but for the most part, you have to make sure that you're protecting your energy and that you are, again, observing but not absorbing, because like, for example, last weekend I was at a spiritual like festival, like an Oshun festival, spiritual festival, and it's very high energy when they play the drums and they sing those songs, and the spirit gets high. It's very high energy. And this one sister, she kind of, was crying, and she had a lot going on. And she was like, this is a lot for me. I'm new to this. I have spiritual gifts, but, I was like, just breathe. Like I was telling her, like, breathe slowly. And I was just telling her, how to control, herself and her energy. And I was like, you need to make sure that you're spiritually protected. So even if it's, one thing I also do is before I go out somewhere, or if I feel like it's going to be some weird energy, I'll always spray myself down. But also I just imagine like I'm zipping myself up in like a spiritual, like, I don't know, like cloak or something, and like protection. And I just visualize that and I just do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there been times when I go places and people don't fuck with me at all. You know what I'm saying? And I be like, why? But I know why. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm open, when I'm too open, that allows different energies to come in. Everybody walking around ain't carrying the same energy. Why are you biting me? Understand that. Some people carry around different entities, demons, different things in them. So when you're open, you're open to receiving. It's like a parasite to a host. Or
like
or
your airdrop on
or
everyone
leech.
for the next 10 minutes.
Basically, you just open. Yeah, exactly. Or a parasite. People are parasites. They come over. Next thing you know, you got somebody, all in your space and trying to attach themselves to you, on some, weird shit. So you always got to be mindful and, protect yourself every day, because right now we're going through a spiritual warfare anyway. So it's very important that your spiritual hygiene is up 1,000%, whatever that looks like for you.
That makes a lot of sense.
I love that. And I'm sorry if we've kept you too long, but I really enjoyed it. I did want to say si puedo, Gina, because I know you're trying to ask her last question too. I really enjoy the part where you talked about like how you would teach your students like their history and like getting to know who they are at the core. Because I myself, I'm an immigrant to this country, and I think I wanted to say like I think kids smell the bullshit. Like when I came into this country, I had no fucking interest in history. It just all kind of sounded the same. These people fought against these people unalive these people, but it was always like and boom and done.
The
And I was
white people,
like,
the white people
really?
always they always great. Their story is always great, but everybody else's story is trash.
Right. And so it was like, okay, I was like, something is off. Like, and so when I was a senior in high school, myself and a few like juniors and a freshman, we got together and we started doing our own research into history. And we try to propose to the school like a curriculum of things. Because again, I'm an immigrant. I didn't know shit about American history. And I was like, okay, like I hear you. They're talking about, especially about like slavery, but like I doubt nobody did anything, right? Like it didn't make sense to me that nobody like, because in the books they don't talk about the slave rebellions, they don't talk about the Harlem Renaissance. It's just like, why is it just this one quick little chapter and then boom, oh my gosh, white people woke up and decided like they were over being cruel, disgusting demons. But the school said no. So now with my kids, I've bought them a lot of books, and as you guys can hear them most of the time, they're in the background while I'm reading. And I have like made it in my head that I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I'm not going to give them the kiddie version of it. They learn what the adults are learning. Cause I'm sorry, but they don't sugarcoat or downplay or talk in kid terms when it comes to the age cost. They will make you watch the movies as it was. So, yeah.
It's so true. Um, so when we're talking about protecting ourselves when we go out to the public, Aisha,
Yes.
um, I heard you mention like making your own spray protection. Um, Tobacco is a very strong, even like Native Americans, we use it to give, as a offering, before we ask for prayers. So I've never heard of it in a spray, so like that really stuck out to me. Um, and is that something you like for Sajida, where she's very much an empath, that you would suggest for her to do?
Yes, I would suggest for you to do that, and even if I hear like I'll tell you how to make it, and I'll give some other things that you can do as well. And with your intention, and wherever you're going, like definitely spray yourself down. Like
Yeah.
tobacco is very indigenous. And it works. Trust me, it works. It really does. It really does work. And continue to, again, even visualizing the protection around you, like in visualizing a force field around you. Because like when you're a light being, or when you're like, again, when you're open, like, like a happy person, like it just leads to so much. Like I've experienced that. Like I have people around me, jealous, that made me all kind of bad harm, and I didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? Until I did know it. I had to have people, other spiritual leaders or advisors, like, hey, like this person around you ain't, and then I started looking like, oh, now I started to see different. And when I started to do different things and move different, those people not even around me no more. So
That makes sense. That definitely makes
yeah.
sense. DRC, did you want to ask one more question before I drop you guys back down?
Yes, just one more thing. I want it's for Saji. So I have a therapist and she's very much like into holistic healing, which I love. And one of the things that she had me do was anytime I do feel like negativity coming on, think of it as like a black cloud inside of me, visualizing it. So like imagine the negativity that you feel like that might be in your body. just imagine yourself, like think of it as a cloud spotted in your body, and then take a deep breath and just say, I release it. And that, believe it or not, has actually helped me. Visualization as well. So yes, that's
I'm
it.
gonna picture a white cloud instead.
Oh God. That will work for you.
No, because that's kind of like what Aisha was talking about. She said that she visualizes her bubble, so like a protection bubble, and DRC, that's the same thing. It's the visualization. However you need to do it for yourself, visualize it. Either like DRC, letting it go, letting it release from your body, from what you're feeling, or like Aisha said, where you're protecting yourself before you put yourself in situations with bigger crowds. I think both of them. I think both of them would really help. Like, the more you can, protect yourself, the better. Pookie, did you have a question? Thank you, ladies, for coming up. I love
Oh,
both of you.
and keep you some keep you
We
some
love you.
keep you some black obsidian and some black onyx on you too.
Yes, yes. I was just gonna say that I stay with hematite bracelets on me,
Yes,
and
good.
I love all that stuff. So yes.
Good.
Bye.
I think I got one question.
Yes.
Okay.
What would you recommend for somebody that wants to start this type of thing and is shy and just like if that makes sense?
Who wants to start? Wants to start what?
Getting into like holistic healing and stuff like that. And
Well, one thing people need to know about, holistic health too, and like when it gets into all that, like it's not like it's not gonna be immediate, but it's gonna ask a lot of you. It's literally like a lifestyle change. You're not going to be doing the same things you're going to be doing before because everybody around you is not going to be doing those things. So you gotta know that when you start making that, diving into that, you're going to shift. You're going to shift in a positive way. And so I would really, try to align yourself with people in your community, that, are doing these things, type of things as well. Going out into the community spaces, like holistic spaces, depending on what you're looking for, because when I say holistic, it could be so many things, right? When we talk about medicines, there's so many different holistic, like herbal stores you can go to, learning about these herbs. A lot of herbs, they're not only medicinal, but they're spiritual. You can do a lot with a lot of these different things. You can have an herb you can drink a tea with, and that same herb might be used for prosperity. So you could keep that little herb in your, in your little mojo bag in your pocket, and next thing you know, you getting random checks in the mail, just different things like that. Researching, really doing your work, doing your education and learning up on stuff too as well. That's really going to assist you. And again, just aligning yourself. I think, one thing, when people come to me or come to like my class for yoga, they say, man, I always said I wanted to, be in community or do XYZ, XYZ. And then when they find me in my class, then they be like, man, this is what I've been looking for. So really just aligning yourself there in those spaces. And I think, you have your best results. And then also do your research on anybody, because everybody, holistic health and wellness and health is at a forefront, it's at an all-time high. So just be mindful about who you're trusting and getting certain things from, certain works or spiritual work or different herbs. Just being mindful that you do your research on these people too as well. Research me if you need to. And that way, you're moving in the right direction too as well.
thank you, sister. Thank you for
And you can always hit me up. I'm here. I think I followed you back, so you can always hit me up if you need anything.
I got you. Thank you.
I love Pookie. So I've kept you a little bit past your time, sis. I'm sorry, but the flow is flowing. So my last question is, how do you wear so many hats? Like it's a I had a couple of questions, but I'm gonna save them for the next time because I want to interview you at the end of the year or maybe later on in the beginning, just to get an update of where you're at. So I'll save the other questions that I have, but just to kind of like wind down questions. You wear very many hats, right? You're an activist. You know, you have your classes, so like business owner, you're a teacher. How has your definition of a successful legacy evolved throughout your career, and how do you like juggle all of that?
um, I don't know. You know what they say is it's in me, not on me. It's already in me. You know, I just thank the Most High, my ancestors. For keeping me, in alignment. And people always ask me this. How are you? You be everywhere. How are you doing? I'm be like, I always say the same way, God and Jesus is everywhere. I just am, and I'm just doing my thing, and it is natural and it's not forced. And, and when I'm not doing nothing, I'm not doing nothing. It's just the energy. Yeah, I can't really explain it. And when I get tired of something or burnt out, like I'll stop doing it. And, I just continue to listen to the call that I'm supposed to be doing and where I'm supposed to be making a difference at. I really believe that my part of my mission or most of my mission is to reach and touch as many people as I can in a positive way, and that's the story of, Jesus, supposedly that's his story, and so I'm just doing, the Lord's work. That's all. I'm just being obedient. And, when I get the word that I'm done or to sit down, I'm gonna do that or release this thing, and that's one thing I have been doing too is I haven't done much. I had surgery on my foot. It's been about 11 weeks now. I had got my bunion removed on my right foot. So I've been, just kind of chilling. I haven't really done much. And I was like, I needed this rest. I needed to be still. And it made me become more intentional about the things that I do in the community. And it's like, I can do all these different things, and they're good. It's good work, but I want to do the things that make the most impact in my community, and so I really been focusing on that, so here we are in June, finna be July, and I have a back to school bash coming up in August. We're giving out, backpacks and school supplies, that's very important, because for a kid not to have their basic necessities, there's a lot to them, especially in the public school. They making fun of you for not, what I'm saying, having Nikes, just dumb shit, so that's very important to me. I do my, Black Gala award show and ceremony in October that you were able to come to the first one. And, I do my, the toy drive in December. So I really want to focus on more impactful things, even when I travel. So like even when I go back, to Mexico or different countries, I want to be like when I went to Mexico, I met a guy. We gave out free hugs and they're like, why are you doing this? Like just because, what I'm saying is like, and he wants me to come to Mexico City and do that there with him in Mexico City. So I was like, I want to do things that are more impactful, and I do see myself traveling more. So I'm just an extension of God, and just doing my part.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for everything that you do and just the person and the woman that you are. You're just an amazing human being, and thank you for always showing me love and including me and being inclusive to me. You always
Yes.
have, always have. And, we have a saying in indigenous cultures where you come in a good way and always be a good relative. And that's what you've always displayed to me. Always,
Yeah.
always. So I really appreciate you. And I was super excited because I don't get to have much of the people I know in real life that we've been boots on the ground together. We've experienced a lot of things together, me and you. So it's nice to have you in my virtual world as well. So I appreciate you so much,
Yeah,
sis.
girl, you popping on TikTok. I'm like, oh, I'm like, you know, here TikTok popping. I'm like, I don't be on here like should. And so when I follow you, oh, Gina been on here getting it in. I love that. I love that. Get on these people's ass because they be talking crazy on here on TikTok.
Yes. So when I left Houston and I came to where I'm at now, like it's like creator kind of like stopped me and was like, okay, now I need you like to just focus and maneuver and kind of like rotate kind of where my trajectory was going. And I felt like, man, you know, us being in Houston, we're always doing something. We're always boots on the ground. We're very active. We're very in the communities. And where I'm at is this little, you know, very tiny little town. There's not really much to do. One Walmart in this town. Like it's very, so I'm like, okay, how can I apply what we do, me and you in real life and apply it
Yes.
here? You
Mm-hmm.
know, so that's when I kind of came up with like, man, why not highlight the amazing people and amazing, for me, the amazing women, mainly because we're losing our rights left and right in this country. Women are being attacked. You know, we live under patriarchy. So why not highlight amazing women and what they do? And you were you were on that list, of course, obvio. So it's like I gotta get my
Yes.
sis in. So I appreciate you so much, sis. Thank you for being here.
And
If
I want
y'all
to
have
thank you
not
the
followed,
same.
follow.
And thank you to say, I want to thank you so much because you supported me. You supported me so much too as well. You were able to be on my podcast. So thank you so much for always being who you are. You have such a beautiful spirit and heart. I get to know your children, you know, and, you know, I'm rooting for you wherever you are, wherever you go. And you already know it's love. And, you know, whenever we look back up, you know, you already know what it is. So, you know, just keep going. And I'm so proud of you that you are doing this podcast and just keep it up. And there are other amazing women that are supporting you. That's beautiful. And you know, we all we got. So just keep, you know, moving forward. And
That
the
part.
work, you know, gets done and the show continues. So we're gonna
Yes.
keep moving forward.
Give my love to all the amazing women. You know who I'm talking about. Tell them I love them and I miss all of them so much. And all my stuff is still back home in the storage. So I'm coming home. I love you, sis. I'm gonna make sure that I let you go because I've been keeping you past. But make sure if you guys have not followed my big sister's up here. Hi, Jessica. Make sure you guys follow Miss Aisha. She is an amazing woman. Like I swear there's nothing black women can't do. Y'all do everything under the sun. Like y'all are just y'all literally, that's why my last question was like addressing all the hats you wear because you guys continue to inspire the world. You guys have inspired the world and you continue doing it.
Even though people try to shit on us, you know, and even though, you know, all the things, and that's another reason why at an alarming rate, you know, black women are leaving the country. When I went to live in Mexico, it was mostly African American women. They're leaving the country. They got PTSD. They got anxiety, you know, all different kind of things because it's too much. Because, you know, in our communities, you know, the African American male feels like, you know, he's, you know, unseen, he's the most attacked, but it's like we're below y'all. Women are below men. If we're in a patriarchy society, we're below you. So what you think we experiencing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
So, you know, so yeah, so I just, you know, and to all the women out there, like, love yourself, know who you are, find you some other amazing women, and create a sisterhood and build that bond. But also understand that the divine feminine energy and divine femininity is on the rise, and you know all this ocean is falling it's not going to fall. It's falling. It's happening right now. So find your sisters, find your group. Go back to being going in the woods and being the beautiful witches that you are, and conjuring up this energy, and doing what we do best. We're magical, spiritual beings. We do all the things. We're all the things. So let's do that. So
Yes, absolutely. Y'all don't understand. This woman has included me in so much things. Like when she would tell me and invite me to certain things, I was like, I've never had sisterhood like that. Like even in our community, like don't get me wrong, like our elders, like the abuelas and the tias, amazing women. But like women my age in my community, it was never like really a girl thing, or like our friendships were superficial. It wasn't really but like my brown beret sisters and my other sisters, you guys are amazing. Like I don't know. The bond is there. So I appreciate you, sis. Thank you for being here once again. My big sister said she followed you. Her name is Jessica Simone. You guys need to tap in with each other for real. If I'm not mistaken, without giving too much away, because I know how Jess is, let's just say y'all are in the same state. So y'all gotta tap in with each other.
sounds good.
I love you, sis. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for being here, and thank you for everybody who's been here. Make sure you love on each other, all right? Bye, guys.
Peace.